Shabbat Shalom. Whenever I think of scouting, of course, immediately to mind comes the one Torah portion in the summer that deals most with the literal meaning of scouting. Shlach lecha. Send out for yourself meraglim. Send out for yourselves scouts. Let them go up into the land of Israel. As our people had left Egypt a little while before, a couple years at this point, we needed to do a survey. We needed to see what was waiting for us in the land, which at that point was still called Canaan, still called Canaan, and a land that we knew would be hostile to our return. The squatters on the land, as you may want to think of them, were not going to take kindly to our returning back to our ancestral land after our enslavement in Egypt. And so Moses designated that spies from each of the different tribes would go up into the land, 12 all in total, and they would scout out what the situation was, come back, bring a report to be able to prepare for the eventual invasion. Anybody know what the report was when they came back? That's the executive summary. They went into a little more detail. In fact, there were two different reports. 10 spies all said the same thing, and 2 other spies said something, well, actually the same as well. You see, both groups, the 10 and the 2, all agreed the land was amazing. They even brought back enormous bunches of grapes that required 2 people to carry them because they were so large that one person couldn't. Everybody agreed that this was the most beautiful, bountiful, and incredible place they had ever seen. And remember, they were coming from the Nile River Valley, one of the most outstanding places in the region. Everybody also agreed that the people of this land were well fortified, that there were enormous walls around the different city-states dotting across the land of Canaan, and that these people were, well, quite ferocious. Living there along the bridge between Africa and Asia, they had had to be to maintain their independence, or at least semi-independence, trapped between the Hittite and the Egyptian empires going back and forth in their usual squabbles. The 10, who panicked, came back and said all of this to the people, and then added their interpretation. We're going to lose. This is impossible. There's us, and not so many of us, and there's all of them. There is no way that we can accomplish this. We should go back to Egypt and see if they'll take us back as slaves, because better that than to die out here in the wilderness. And the other 2, Joshua and Caleb, they agreed with the entire report. They didn't say that there was a word of misinformation, no miscommunication, no lies at all. But they disagreed with the interpretation. They said, yes, the people are strong. Yes, their walls are high. Yes, this is going to be a hard, hard fight. But we can do it. After all, we just defeated, God just defeated Egypt, the mightiest empire in this neck of the woods. What makes you think that God cannot also allow us to defeat the challenge that lies in front of us? Why do you imagine that we will not succeed there when we have already shown that with God's help we can succeed against superior foes than even those we now face? And the community sat down, they weighed the thought, they weighed the different opinions very carefully. No. The community panicked. They listened to the 10, ignored the 2, and that is how we ended up being stuck in the wilderness for another 38 years. It wasn't the golden calf, it wasn't anything else, it was because they listened to the wrong report from the wrong set of scouts. Both brought back accurate information, but both had very different perspectives. One of the great blessings of scouting as a whole enterprise is not just that it prepares people with so many different skills and abilities that are applicable not only in the wilderness but in everyday life, but that it teaches perspective. It teaches how to approach difficult tasks. It doesn't tell us, pretend that you can do everything, it's no problem, just walk out into the wilderness and you'll be okay. That's not a good thing. It teaches us instead, yes, Going out there, whether it be the wilderness, whether it be high school, whether it be college, whether it be any other part of life, there are going to be challenges, they're going to be hard, and if you are not properly prepared and have the wrong perspective, then you're going to be in trouble. But that doesn't mean you can't prepare. It doesn't mean you can't have a better perspective. It doesn't mean that you can't overcome it. It just means that you're going to have to actually try. You're going to actually have to think about it carefully, systematically, build up your set of skills, your tool chest, to be able to overcome whatever challenge it is that you currently face. Scouting, like Judaism, tells us that life is not going to be easy. There is no simple way to get through life. There are no shortcuts. There's no trick. There's no, 10 easy steps to make your life better. Instead, it requires careful study, careful planning, proper execution of the plans, and then revising them again and again as everything continues to change and becomes different than you initially expected. But you learn that you can overcome anything, whether it be preparing for a small camping trip, whether it be executing an Eagle Scout project, whether it be any other aspect of life. Scouting in Judaism tells you, you can do this. You can do this. Not by magic, not by a miracle, but by using what you have already been taught and using the gifts that God has already given you. And that is the most valuable lesson. There is no way to teach a person how to properly plan for everything in life, but to teach them how to see life, how to have a perspective that teaches them to look for the opportunity, look for the way to overcome the obstacle. That is the ultimate gift that we hope that you are receiving from not only the wonderful scouting community, but also from the heritage of Torah and of Judaism. Go forth into the world. Make sure that you are scouting out accurately. Make sure you bring back to the community the right perspective. We can do this. We can get there. Shabbat Shalom.